Hello, what's up, lovely people? It's Rex from Conscious Mantras. We have a very good guest here with me, Redpill Babe, or we can call her Bella, right? Bella?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Hi,
a
Rex.
name. Yeah, hello. Yeah,
Thanks for
so
having me.
I'm obliged. I'm glad you are here. I wanted to ask you to come on board. For my episode, and here you are, and it's really good. I'm super excited, right? So yeah,
Yeah, I'm
before
still
I give you the
too.
floor, I wanted the audiences to know that Red Pill Babe Bella. The Red Pill Babe is her username, right? It's Red Pill Babe 17 something, right?
1776 now, yeah.
Yeah, it's Redpillbabe 1776. You can find her on Instagram. She's one of the best patriot I follow. She's one of my favorite patriot account on Instagram, on or everywhere. So she's really good. She explains stuff, what's happening, what the current events, everything really good in a really precise manner and in really good way, right? So, anyways, not taking much time. Over to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So yeah, I'm Bella, Red Pill Babe. I'm a political influencer
Yeah.
activist. I don't know how my life took this turn, but it did. And I've been on the journey now for I've been on the red pill journey for a very long time. But I did start the page, 2.5 years ago, and it's been transformative for myself to be able to share information with people and bring them to truth, to bring light, to what otherwise would have been a very dark existence, especially with everything that's been going on lately. So yeah, I post the news and I post funny memes and I try to keep people's vibrations as high as I can through these really unnerving times, and try to provide the news in a manner which is both educational but also entertaining.
Oh yeah, basically yes. That's what it is about all of us. Like we were like somewhat black pilled, then we got red pilled, and then we started light working. Right? We started throwing information to the people. Like I still do it. Like I send information to my best friend. I send information to my father. Like my mom, brother, everywhere. Look at this, this is what had happened. Like look at the history, find out the real evidences, find out the truth. Like that's what I do every time. I'm pretty sure you does the same thing, right? So I was black pilled. So I got red pill like 1.5 years ago or something. But before that I was red pill. Like I was not into spirituality and everything, but I was you can say, like half red pill or half black pill or something like that. Like I knew about 9/11. I knew about the America as a corporation or something, like not into the real constitution and everything. And I was always a fan of Second Amendment. I love Second Amendment.
Amen.
It's a
Gotta love
birthright for
America.
Americans. Yeah, right. God bless
Right.
America. Yeah. So tell me more about like how you. I think I. If I follow you correctly, you were also black pilled somewhat, right,
Oh
and then you got red
yeah.
pilled. So like how
Yeah.
did the transition happen?
Yeah, so I was on black pilled for a very, very, very long time. I woke up for the first time to so I'll start by saying that I'm a second generational truther. My
Okay.
dad is a truther.
Okay. Oh wow.
Very different topics, but nonetheless, he's always been considered a conspiracy theorist, I guess you would call him,
Okay, so
since as
he's the
far back as I can
first
remember.
one. He's the first generation. So
Yeah,
like for
yeah.
my Indian audiences, can you like please a little bit elaborate what's the first generation, what's the second, and what's the third one?
Yeah, just what I mean by second generation is just that my father was a truther, and my father believed in conspiracy theorists, and therefore I'm now the second generation of individuals that are kind of
Yeah. Okay.
questioning and pushing against the narrative. So in 2007, I saw a documentary by the name of Loose Change.
Uh,
A lot of people have seen Loose Change now, but back then it was a very big deal because Loose Change hid on the internet. So
hmm.
whenever it would pop up, like if you had a loosechange.com, they would delete the website.
Oh.
Censorship, right? At the very
Yeah.
beginning.
Okay.
I'm talking about 2007.
Wow.
So Loose Change started getting around by being embedded secretly into different websites. And, it started spreading and people started waking up. So in 2007, I find out by watching this Loose Change documentary that 9/11 was an inside job, and
Okay.
that it absolutely was orchestrated. However, in 2007, I believe that the Republicans, George Bush's presidency, is who is responsible for 9/11. So this is 2007. In 2008 is when that, well, in 2007, around that same time, is when the campaign starts for Barack Obama here in the States. And I've always been an activist. I've always liked being involved in politics. And I am a former liberal. I was a registered Democrat for many years. And I campaigned for Barack Obama in 2008 incredibly hard. I mean, door
That's sad.
knocking, calling,
That's sad.
emails. I was, I was a baby till I was really young. It was like the first time that I was voting. And, like most people don't realize there's a reason why young people vote Democrat. My family immigrated to the United States from Cuba, fleeing a communist dictatorship. So my dad, in my house, I was considered a communist because I was a Democrat. Like, my parents do not play with that at all. So I was considered a communist because I was a Democrat. So my dad always told me, in your 20s, like, if you're not a communist in your 20s, you don't have any heart. If you're not a socialist in your 20s, you don't have any heart. If you're a socialist past your 30s, you don't have any sense, right? Okay. And it's because they appease to the humane thing, what they're doing with Biden's presidency now, a president who cares, the humane thing. And that was a lot of what Barack Obama was about. So I campaigned hard for Barack Obama in 2008. And then 2012 came. And they were like, we need another 4 years. We can't get everything done in 4 years. We need another 4 years. So there went Bella, and she campaigned twice as hard for Barack Obama's second term. So he gets elected, and almost immediately, I want to say at some point in 2012, is the first time that I see a FEMA camp video start popping up on the internet. We started seeing across the United States in different locations, camps that were set up with millions of plastic caskets, each casket holding 3 to 5 people. You start asking, why do they need all these caskets? What is FEMA preparing for? But then more importantly, it's not what are they preparing for, because they could tell you a hurricane, a tornado, a tsunami, and whatever. It's that it's a secret. And they're blocking this information from the internet. So just as it does now, there's a lot more censorship now, but censorship on the internet has always existed to control, these truths from getting out. So I remember that was the first time that I saw a video on the FEMA camps. And then I started my research on, Agenda 2030. Well, it was Agenda 2021 back then. Agenda 2021. The Committee of 300, the Bilderberg Group, all these, actual organizations that represent this elite, group of individuals that really determine how it is that you and I and every other, normal person on this globe or on this world operates, right? So the more I got down through those rabbit holes was when, you feel very small. Back then, no one was talking about these things. Yeah. So you watch a 15-minute video about the FEMA camps, and you try to go to work the next day, and you're like, oh my God, the government is trying to kill us. And people are looking at you like you're completely crazy. Yeah, you're insane. So, they're like, she's nuts. What do you mean the government is trying to kill us? You just spent the last 2 terms like going out there and campaigning for Obama. So when I start finding this out, I start digging. It's dark, really dark, heavy stuff. Like, we're going to die. But then I also start realizing that there's nothing I can do. I'm one person. I'm one little tiny voice. And this is a global a plan to kind of bring people to their knees. So I did what I do best. I disconnected from it. I'm like, well, I'm going to die anyways. So I'm going to just live my life as best as I can up to that point. Right. And then, Donald Trump runs for president. Now, I'll be completely honest. When Donald Trump was ran for president, I didn't like him. Okay, I thought he was arrogant. I thought that he was crazy. Like, how do you run a campaign and talk about your opponent trafficking children, drinking blood? Like,
Yeah.
This guy's insane. This guy's trying to confuse us and create pandemonium. And then I started digging. I had a friend of mine who told me, I was always black pilled. So I was always two sides of the same coin. It's both the same thing. We're screwed regardless. And she told me, you're too smart for this. You're too smart to not realize what's going on.
Yeah.
So when she told me that, I started digging. And then I found, the biggest red pill for me to put it, that kind of like put all my black pill moments together with Donald Trump, was when I realized that Donald Trump had ran his campaign on bringing down the Federal Reserve and bringing back a gold standard of currency into the US. Conspiracy theorists have been talking about this for many years. And people called us crazy and they silenced us. And to have not just a candidate, but to have an elected candidate run a campaign on bringing down the Federal Reserve, I was very well aware of what a big deal that was, because the last president that had actively spoken about that was John Kennedy, and they shot him in broad daylight. So, that was the big red pill moment for me, and the big transition, where then I started seeing all the other things that he was calling out. And then that's what led me to, well, maybe the stuff about Hillary Clinton being a child trafficker isn't so wild to begin with. Let me go dig. And, the truth of the matter is that when you go dig with an open mind to find information, you'll find it. It's the cognitive dissonance where you're like, there's no way that's true, that you're being presented with this information and you're like, no, that's not real, or that's not a real website, or that's whatever.
Yeah.
But once you really are open to be like, all right, how can I start putting the pieces on this together, is when you realize like, no, this is actually it's very real.
It's very real. Yeah, that's what it is. Like when I used to hate Trump, so not from the starting. After his second presidency, I hated him, but for a while, like a little bit, for like a year or something. But then when I get into stuff, I get to know him. Fallen in love with his personality, his ambition. Like I can see in his eyes that he really loves his country, he really loves his people, and he can do anything for the country, for his country, right? And I'm seeing him, I have seen him doing it. Like that's how it started. Like the main agenda of for his first presidency campaign was to bring down the federal system, because that's when all the global control shifting started. The fall of Titanic and the rise of the Federal Reserve systems, right? Everywhere, like everywhere.
Everywhere.
In India they sent the British deep state to establish the central banking system. That's what they did here. They were not here to to trade some spices and everything. No, bullshit. They were here to establish the British deep state and the central banking system, right? The Reserve Bank of India.
As they have all over the world, most people don't realize that there is let's start off by the very clear thing that most people don't understand. They name it the Federal Bank so that there's a confusion that it is it's a federal bank of your country. It isn't. It is a privately owned bank by the Rothschild family.
Exactly.
And they have these federal banks in just about every country, with the exception of, I believe the list is down to 3 right now.
Yeah. It's like 3 to 4 or something like that, right?
It's like, I think it's like Venezuela, Iran, Cuba, and I think there's like 3 or 4 countries that don't have a federal bank. So, when you understand, number one, the linguistics that they use to confuse you, where you're like, oh, the federal bank has nothing to do with your country, has nothing to do with with politics. It is a privately owned bank by one of the most powerful demonic families on the face of this earth.
Exactly. That's true. And the fun fact here is that when the Prime Minister Modi, the current Prime Minister of India, came into power, he started demonetizing the old currencies and bought the new currencies, right? And after bringing the new currencies, he fired the that time present governor of the federal bank. So we call Reserve Bank of India. So the Federal Bank of India is called Reserve Bank of India in India. So it's the same thing, different names, right? So so he fired Raghuram Rajan, Mr. Raghuram Rajan. He's really good. He's a really popular economist. He was the governor of the federal bank, and because of him, right now the Indians are paying like 11%, 12% interest on on their loans.
Well,
Anything,
because
right?
that's, most people don't realize that that's what it is. It's like, we're going to print your money for you, but we're going to charge you an interest for print.
Exactly.
It's like immediately from the minute that it's enacted, you're already in debt.
Yeah, so
And
it's
I'm
a
not
simple
quite
thing,
sure.
like people
Yeah.
are too busy to acquire the tough knowledge, like the hard knowledge. They just forget the simple things. They think if this thing is too simple to understand, it might be a false thing, right? That's what it is.
And
But it's not that it is, right?
how often, it's so funny that you said that, because I feel like there's so many things that they don't want us to question by making us feel that it's too complicated for us
Yeah,
to understand.
exactly.
It's not. It's really not. I
It's not.
understand money. I understand that if I buy something with cash, I'm paying the price that it is. If I use a credit card, I have an interest. Therefore, it's going to have a higher cost for me in the long run. This isn't physics. This is very simple math.
Exactly.
And from the minute that the reserve is enacted, and I'm not quite sure how it works, around the world, but I do know for a fact that our American birth certificates are very much created to represent banknotes, meaning that as
the marine law.
As a human being living in the United States, basically you are being offered to the Federal Reserve as collateral. I have X amount of citizens. Each citizen would acquire a debt of $1 million or X amount of dollars. The average citizen will acquire this much debt or consume this much, because really all it is about turning us into consumer slaves that don't think. This is how much each average person does. And that's what they base off how much money the Federal Reserve will let them borrow.
Yeah, the credit
there's
system.
Always collateral. And you are, us, America, the citizens are the collateral to the Federal Reserve.
Yes, they are. Like, they sold us to work for them. And we are working day and night, and we are just getting our salaries credited on our accounts. And we think that we own the money. We own what we have right now, the property and everything, that's not
no,
it
we don't
is,
own
right?
it. We don't really own, right.
Yeah.
We don't. A lot of people don't realize how deep it goes. And,
Yeah, that's why Trump
freedoms.
wanted the gold standard back. He wanted the gold standard back. That's why he wanted that, right?
Well, because the gold standard kills the cabal.
Exactly.
The gold standard destroys the cabal.
Exactly. They don't have a stock. They don't have a stock for the golds and everything, right? The physical gold, the physical silver and everything. That's where you can beat them. Right. So that's what it is, and the fun fact I was telling about the governor, the back then governor, Raghuram Rajan. So when Prime Minister Modi fired him, Barack Obama called our prime minister twice to get him back, And what our prime minister said, fuck off.
I love that. Base.
Get lost. That's what it is. They said it on live TV that we said get lost to Obama. We said get lost. We're not going to bring him back. That's what they said, and I was like, damn. Now I know you're on our side.
I know we picked the right guy. Yeah, I mean, like I told you, that for me was such a red pill, because people do not talk about this. Like, this is like deep conspiracy. I mean, nothing's a conspiracy theory in 2021, but when I say, I'm talking about what was considered a conspiracy theory in 2015, 2016, when Donald Trump decided to run for president, for him to go out there and just say, I'm going to bring down the Federal Reserve, just saying that is so powerful, you know?
That's...
So, yeah, I mean, that was it for me. Once I found that out, I was all in with Donald Trump, because there's certain things that it's like, I never thought that he was a racist. Yeah. I never thought there's certain things you can just tell you're being manipulated. So I never thought he was a racist. I just thought he was a jerk.
Yes, I might sound anti-Semitic or something, but racism, conspiracies, these all are just Jewish words made by the Jewish leaders, they are.
It's it was and these are terminologies. Linguistics have been weaponizing. Linguistics is something that is very well known in the communist globalist agenda. Exactly. Yeah. Like I said, my family fled communist Cuba, and you compare a lot of the propaganda that's used, that communists have used in the past, and it's very resemblant to what it is that we are witnessing right now. A revolution was brought into Cuba by weaponizing the African Americans within the island. and letting them know, that this new regime was going to bring fairness and equality and justice and it did. It brought equal starvation to everyone, equal hardships to everyone. So, it's not the first time that they've done it. And linguistics are very important for these globalists, racism, climate change. They're very well aware, which is why I am. One of the big things that I push for right now is turning it on them. When my grandmother was a political prisoner for 12 years. My grandfather was a revolutionary fighter for Alpha 66, which was an anti-Castro regime rebel group. He was assassinated for being a member of that group. So there is, I've got a really complicated history of my family fighting against communism and globalists.
Yeah. So you are basically putting forward your family's legacy, fighting.
That is our
cabal.
legacy. Our legacy is to destroy the cabal and get rid of communism. But, my dad called me in January once Biden was sworn in, and I say sworn in quotation marks because we know that there is, that was a coup.
Is he a real president of America?
I don't believe that he is. I don't believe that he's recognized by the people, and I don't believe that he's recognized by at least a portion of the military.
Yeah.
Those are my takes, right? But one thing that my father did tell me when that happened was this fight is going to get uglier. And if there's one piece of advice that I can give you is leave your heart at the door and play their game. You got to play their game. You got to be just as conniving, just as at what they do, you have to be willing to do too. So a big thing for me right now is, understanding that linguistics is a very big, the weapon that they depend on. And we as conservatives have to start using linguistics against them, That's why the other day I talked about it. You're going to call me a racist because I like Aunt Jemima syrup. Well, then how about I call you a racist because you are open for an open border that only allows three or four Hispanic countries to let immigrants in. But clearly you hate Black people because you don't want anybody to come in from Africa. Yeah. You don't want people to come in from Jamaica. You don't want people to go through illegal. You want them to cross the border illegally and therefore limit the opportunities that are out there for individuals of color.
Exactly. Again, hypocrisy at its peak.
It hurts me to say things like that because I realize how ludicrous it is.
Yeah.
But if we don't fight like that, we're going to lose. We have to fight like that.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So yeah, I watched this video, I don't know if I have it right now or not, but it was about the inaugural ceremony of Joe Biden and Trump and Obama and Bush, everyone. And this guy was comparing the inaugural ceremonies and everything. And he showed that everyone, Trump, Bush, Obama, everyone had, when military was there, the military personnel had their badges on. Right, everything, right? But when on Biden's inauguration, no military personnel had the badges or everything like that, and the inaugural ceremony was so so different. They do something with the flower or something, they touch the flowers or something. The vice president, I don't know what it is called, but Biden didn't do it. It's a ritual. They come it from the center, down to the center, but they came in from the left side or something. So these were the signs which told us.
I thought we had military turn their back on him as well.
Yes, exactly.
Here's the thing, and I tell people all the time, you don't need to be following politics every single day to instinctively sense that something isn't right. Something's off.
Yeah.
Something's not normal about this presidency.
Exactly.
You don't need to know the news. You just need to know, wow, that's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he have access to Air Force One? Why does that Air Force One look different than all the other Air Force Ones?
Yeah.
Why doesn't he have a Secret Service call button at his desk? Why? There's so many small things that, even people who are not conspiracy minded are still well, that's weird and that's odd. I tell people all the time, it's you don't have to believe there's a plan. You don't have to believe that something's going to happen. But what you do know, and I know for a fact that instinctively, that the world is not at a normal place right now. Exactly. Instinctively, you have to know that things are changing.
Something's different, yes.
You might think that we're going to go back to some kind of normal, which is never going to happen because normal was never normal. but you know that something big is coming, some kind of change, something's on its way. And, you know, I always want to push people to follow that instinct, those things that are instinctively to them. Because what we had just spoken about, they make things seem so complicated that a simple thing like you and me can't understand it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know that this is a controversial topic, but for example, you know, the shape of the earth. Why can't people ask questions about the shape of the earth? I know what a ball looks like. I know if I pour water over a ball, it goes everywhere. I know if that ball is spinning at hundreds and thousands miles an hour, then water's certainly going to go everywhere. I know what it looks like when I look out into the horizon. I know what a local sun looks like. I know what it would look like if I flashed a flashlight down on a straight point. But scientists tell me, forget what you see with your logic, with your eyes, forget that. It's science that's so complicated that you'll never be able to understand it because you're just simple-minded.
You have to be a scientist for that.
You have to be the same. Well, they do the same exact thing with politics.
Yeah,
it's
read the books we wrote.
For you. It's too complicated for you. You have to be a politician to understand it. Oh, yeah. Global warming. Oh, forget that the Earth has been going through cycles of heating up and freezing over for eons upon eons. No. You're not a scientist. We are. You're dumb, and therefore we have to tell you how to think. And I think that a lot of their the psychological mind games that they've been playing with us for decades have been dependent on them convincing us that we're not smart enough to understand, you know, these lies. When common sense tells you, hey, that doesn't sound right, and they're like, oh, well, it doesn't sound right to you because you're dumb. We're smarter than you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no global warming. How dare you?
How dare you? Where's Greta now?
How dare you? Like if a 18, we cannot understand the environment. We cannot understand the global warming, but a 18-year-old girl who skips her school every day can understand global warming.
That's the voice of the expert voice on global warming is an underage girl who's a dropout, and that's who we go to for experience. You know, it's just so hypocritical. It goes back to propaganda and what it is. But, you know, more importantly, which I think is, you know, you and I have had conversations about this before. It's about people need to just raise their level of consciousness. Trust yourself, trust your instinct, trust your internal. If you're looking at something and it doesn't feel right and it doesn't look right, it's because it isn't. Don't allow somebody else to convince you that what you're feeling is wrong because you turn on CNN and they've got you bombarded with a narrative at all times. You know, if you really take a minute to just center with yourself and listen to your own internal voice, these things become a lot clearer. It's like, you know what? That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. That's what it is, right? Okay, so I have a question for you. Why Trump is daddy for all? Why he's a big daddy?
Dad, T-Dad, I love him. No, you know, I think that Donald Trump is a patriot. I don't necessarily think he's a Republican. I don't see him as like a Republican, a Christian, or whatever. I see Donald Trump as a patriot. I think that he's somebody that has benefited a lot by. He's a freedom fighter. He's a freedom fighter because I think that he understands that his family has benefited a lot from the American way. And if my family can do it, so can everybody else's. Exactly. And I think that he's a patriot to defend the American way of life because he wants to continue to that opportunity to be there for people. So when you really get to know him, you realize that he's fighting for all people. He's not just fighting for, Republicans or Christians. He's really fighting for all people.
Not just America. It's about the world. He always talks about the world. Yeah, he always talks about the world. Yeah.
You know, and I think that he understands that the same cabal that's trying to destroy America has its tentacles all over the world. And that if he wants to save America, then there is a component where you're going to have to save the world too, because you have to bring down the cabal. You can't just be like, oh, lock up Hillary Clinton and it's over. I know that people would love that to happen, but that's not how you end this.
Yeah, it's not a Hollywood movie, you know, like it's not a Hollywood movie.
It's not. I say that all the time. This isn't a Hollywood movie. And the truth of the matter is that people are, there's no arrest, there's no this, there's no that. You wouldn't know that because sitting at the top, when I say the committee of 300, a lot of people don't realize that that's made up of 300 of the world's wealthiest families. And not one of those families appears in Forbes.
Exactly.
You don't know these people.
Yeah, people don't know about the Lee family. The Lee family is the one who controlled the drug cartels in India from Mumbai, right? So people don't know about it. People don't
They
know.
don't. They don't, and they don't realize that there's families like this, deep blood money that's been around for a very long time, that have a very active role in how politics are. They're not elected officials, but because of how much power, influence, and money they have, they can influence politics.
Yeah.
A name that's out there a lot more now, and people are
Mm.
are becoming more used to hearing, but for a long time he was hid in the shadows, is George Soros. You
Soros,
know,
yeah.
so Soros hid in
People
the
are
shadows
talking about
for.
Soros in India. People are talking about like when Trump visited India and there was a riot, something, right, and it was funded by Soros. The
Of course.
all the Protestant for riots were funded by Soros, and it has been proved to the people that yes, and that's when they like get to know about the Soros. Like yeah,
They
he
start
was
getting to
there.
know.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people don't know that Soros is actually banned from
Oh
several
yes,
countries,
it is.
because if
He
he
is.
wakes up, the economy in these countries is so weak that if George Soros wakes up and he wants to sell X amount of shares or buy X amount of shares of whatever it is, because of his position, the money, the power that he has, he can control whole countries'
Exactly.
economics by
Yeah.
just waking up one day on the wrong side of the bed. And nobody should have that much power. And we're not just talking about one Soros. The Committee of 300 is made up of 300 different families with that same kind of power.
Yeah.
All of them operate behind the shadows. So when you say nothing is happening, well, that's a lie, because you don't know how many of these families have had assets frozen, people locked up. You don't know that. We don't know that. So, there's always a bigger picture involved in that.
Yeah, like like for example, for the funny fact is that you have so much money that you can buy a whole country, but you still don't pay Antifa goons their money. Come on, Soros, do something about the money.
They know, yeah. The Antifa thing is just, he's out there, that completely
Yeah,
funded. But Antifa's an idea, according
yeah.
to Jerry Nadler and the Democrats. It's an idea. It's not real. It's just an idea.
Yeah. So basically, like this topic was not on my list, but like when I found out that your family was always fighting against communism and everything,
Yeah,
let's talk about the every ISM we have: communism, uh, whatever, capitalism,
globalism, right?
socialism,
Yeah.
globalism, feminism, even the new trendiest
Oh no, I hate that. I
trendiest
hate
one.
feminists. I
Yeah,
hate
me too.
feminists. It's like I hate like pedos, communists, and feminists. It's like my list of like three top hated.
Yeah, communists like sum up everyone, like the globalists and the capitalists, like the
Yeah.
Zionism and everything, Satanism
Well,
too.
I mean, I was going to tell you that right now. So it does encompass everything. In fact, um, communism communism and the Rothschild family were very big behind the second wave feminism, which is what we see now, about calling men toxic, wanting to,
Yeah,
women don't need men, trying
yeah,
to completely destroy the family, the nucleus of the family. That is a communist concept that was specifically designed to pull women out of the home and into the workforce, so that they would have more people paying
more people.
taxes
Yes,
into
exactly.
Rothschild banks.
Yeah, that's what I said to my mom, and
Yeah.
she was like, "You are so outdated. Be modern or something." And I was like, "Mom, let it be."
No, it absolutely is. And I'm a woman. I know that once upon a time we didn't have the right to
Yeah,
vote, and we didn't
yeah,
have, and that's why first wave feminism is very different than
yeah.
second and third wave feminism,
Exactly,
which
exactly.
were not things that they weren't organically created. Second and third wave
You
feminism
know what they
hijacked the
do?
feminist
Yeah.
movement.
You know what they do with the feminism right now? They post their naked pictures on Instagram in the
Yeah, the
name of
empowerment
feminism.
is
The
that
kids are doing that.
if you're a slut
Yeah,
and you kill your unborn children, then that's empowerment. That's what third
exactly.
wave feminism
Yeah,
tells
my
you.
body,
That if you go,
my choices or
my body,
whatever.
my choice, I should be proud about being a whore and sleeping around, and I should find empowerment in that, which there is no empowerment, because we can take it on 100 different levels, but there's just no empowerment by giving your soul to somebody else in exchange, because that's what you
Exactly.
do during intercourse. And this they're trying to feminism is trying to destroy the divine feminine. Like
Yeah.
that's what it does.
Yeah.
You kill feminism, you kill femininity with feminism.
Yeah,
They don't
exactly.
want women to be held, as a woman you should I don't want to be with a man that sleeps around. I don't want to sleep around. There's no good that comes from that. There's no respect in that. There's no way somebody's going to feed me that there's empowerment in killing my unborn child when it is the single most miraculous, amazing thing as a woman that I can do is to bear children. And to have somebody tell me that there's empowerment in kids, it's not, again, it goes back to communist using linguistics. Empowerment, equality, as a way of getting you to do the devil's doing. And yeah, what you just said, it is an open door for Satanism, because a communism, in order to make you a slave to the government, has to remove God. And by removing God, you therefore worship the government. So it does make room for Satanism. I talk about this often, where Cuba was a predominantly Christian Catholic, Judeo-Catholic nation for a very long time. When the communists take over, the first thing they do is close the churches. You can no longer practice your Christian religion. So what that did was that the only religions that did participate were the ones that took place underground. Because there was a lot of slaves, a lot of Afro slaves that were that clearly were sent to Cuba and lived in Cuba. There was a lot of customs amongst them, a lot of religions, of Afro-type religions that are attached to, we call them brujeria and santeria. And these are religions that do revolve around, they're not all bad, but, they do revolve around sacrifices and dark entities and things like that. And things that they only got root in the island because they took away, the Judeo-Christian values. So, absolutely. Part of what communism, and then if you look at the globalist agenda, the goal is to not just rid me of my Christian values, but to rid you of your values, and to roll in a truly satanic one world religion where you're only, if you read the satanic code of ethic, like the Church of Satan and what they consider like their commandments, it's like liberal talking points, like do no harm to other, do whatever you want, but don't worry about other people or whatever, do what makes you feel good. And it's linguistically, it doesn't sound like a terrible thing. So you're like, this is the devil, like confusing people. So yeah, a communist, globalist, whatever you want to call them, they definitely invented the history on feminism being created as a way of killing the family nucleus, and therefore weakening our society, so that it would be easier for them to have a global takeover. You weaken our men, you weaken our families, and that's how it's how you take over the world. I think China's a perfect example of that, where we're we've got these freaks telling us that we need to transition children at 6 years old and turn little boys into little girls. Meanwhile, China is teaching masculinity classes to kids in elementary school.
Exactly. That's what it is. Like the best trick devil played with the people is that he manipulated them that he never exists. That's what it is.
That's what it is. And I think,
that's a trick.
The further down this rabbit hole you go, everybody comes to the same conclusion. This isn't politics.
Exactly.
This is a real life battle between the forces of good and evil. There is a battle for your soul every single day on this planet. And, you've got, whether you want to call them angels, vibrations, entities, whatever it is.
Extraterrestrials.
Whatever it is, the point of the matter is that there's good and there's bad. There's negative and there's positive. It's all energy. And on this earth, on this plane, everything that we're fighting, every single fight has to do with the devil wanting to keep control of this world that has always been of his. And he's
doing the opposite of everything, of every God's command. Yeah.
Confuse everything that God created. God created man and women perfect in his image, and they tell you, no, you are wrong. We need to transition 5-year-olds and give them hormones.
Yeah, back then people were like, there are men, there are women. And now we have like, oh my God, we have he, she, and what else, right?
I don't know what they have. I don't have any of that. I know that there's boys and there's girls. And here's my thing. I get it. If you want to live your life and you want to put on a dress and you want me to call you she, cool. I'm down. I'll call you whatever you want me to call you. But what you're not going to do what you're not going to do is call me a racist, a homophobic, because I don't agree with transitioning a 6-year-old.
Exactly. That's what it is. Like, so my favorite yogi in India called Sadhguru, he's pretty famous in America also. So he have a famous quote that he says that femininity of femininity or the feminine word is not a gender. The feminine is not a gender. It's an expression. It's a feeling. Every person have it. Even men have it. The feminine
Absolutely.
expression, we have it, right? But
We're all made up of polar energies of both male
exactly.
and feminine
Yeah,
energies.
we are not
Absolutely.
God. So we are not God. We have the duality. Only the God have the power, like to love each and every one equally, because he don't have the duality. He is just one single polarity, right? That's what he is, and that's what the Satanism do with the people. The Luciferian agenda is all about doing completely opposite everything what God commands us to do. Like, that's what I say to people. Like, these liberals, these stupid people always go on streets and like scream about their rights. That's all right. It's your right to ask your rights, right? The human rights and every rights. But what about the duties? What about the duties? What are you going to do about that?
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really good point, which is that collectively as a society, it can't be like, oh, we want to make sure that everybody feels good. No, that's not realistic, because there's bad people out there, and I don't care if bad people feel good.
Yeah.
As a society, we need to come up with parameters on things that are just not okay, and these aren't faith driven. To me,
Yeah.
it's like, I could be anti-abortion. I can understand why maybe somebody who was raped by their grandfather doesn't want to have a kid by their grandfather. But I also don't think that person needs until the 40th week of their pregnancy to figure out that they're not going to keep that child. So, in an effort to kind of remain, okay, I'm going to meet you guys halfway. I don't believe in abortions in any capacity. You guys think that there's circumstances where there should be. Okay, well, can we as a society agree that can be taken care of within the first 3 months?
Exactly.
Why are we
and
fighting
by
for
the way,
infanticide?
the fact is that the whole abortion thing, if you calculate it in percentage, rape is just a 1%
Less than
of
1%.
less than 1% of so many other reasons, right?
Yeah, but that's the one that they love to bring up, right?
Exactly.
And my
That's
thing is,
the
it's like,
only one.
even it's the only one that they can bring up, because any other reason, the majority of abortions happen because the mother doesn't want to have the child. They don't want the inconvenience of having a kid. That's the biggest reason as to why people get abortions.
Yeah,
Is because
they
of
think
that,
they think it's a painful situation. They think it's a painful 9 months
well, they've
of their
been
life.
created. The thing is that feminism has told you that it is.
Yeah.
Why would you want to be a mom? It's so hard.
It's
You
so
have to
hard.
stop your life.
What
You
about
can't
your
pursue your
career? What
career.
about career? Yeah.
Who's gonna want you? Your mom. That's what they've done. They've created that, and they've created this like empowerment feeling that it's like, I can't have a career, I can't pursue my life if I have a child.
Exactly.
And it's sad, but to me it's like, all right, so let's agree to disagree. You don't like abortions, all right, cool, I get it. You think it's like, oh, it's so right wing to like say
the final
fine,
argument.
fine, we won't ban abortion since you guys want to murder your kids so badly. But can we at least agree that killing like a 40, that a baby being born and sticking a needle in the back of its head to dismember it, that's wrong, that's murder? Can we agree on that? Can we agree that you got 3 months to get it taken care of, and if you don't do it within those 3 months, then the only other option is you keep your baby or you give it up for adoption?
Exactly, that's what it is. Like people don't understand all these things. I have so many stupid people on my DM, like talking about, how dare you talk about the women? You are not a woman. How do
You're
you
not a
know?
woman.
Yeah, how do you know the pain and what they bear? Like I say to them, like women are diamond for me. They are diamonds. So I don't want my diamond to go out and get rusty or like get into the dust and everything. That's my job.
I love
That's
that.
my job. That's my job. I'm gonna do that. That's what I told. That's why I was talking with my mom, and I said that I want a wife who sits at home, and I'm gonna work for her, and I'm gonna give every penny I earn to her. And like she will gonna make my home beautiful, make my kids, like really
Take care
good,
of your
like
kids. Yeah.
care of my kids, care of my family and me, and I'm gonna care of her out from outer sides, from the outer world, and she's gonna nourish the inner world of her family.
Yeah.
That's what
I that,
the tradition is.
that's the beauty of the female and masculine energies, right? And what it is that when we truly talked about a balanced relationship is, women and men aren't meant to be equal. We weren't. We were meant to be complementary. We were created to complement one another,
They are two
not to
different
be
things.
equal. Right. I'm not, the idea was, if you want to go back to just natural basics, caveman days, it was the man's job to go out and hunt and gather for their family. And then women are nurturers and to take care. And if something, and those roles, they've made women feel like that's not an important role anymore. Like, you need to go out there and work a corporate job and climb a corporate ladder and be the VP of a company in order to have some kind of value as a woman.
Get into the Forbes 500 most influencing women.
Become an influencer, have a page, my career, it's my brand. And, it really takes away from the essence of what we're in this earth to do, which is to raise the collective vibration, to talk about love, and to do that through our own testimonies of bringing children into the world and raising them to be good human beings. So,
exactly.
It goes back to what you were saying. It's all part of the demonic agenda to turn everything that God has created on his head and tell you that this perfect union, this perfect sacred union and exchange of energies that exist between man and woman is a mistake.
Yeah.
That God made a mistake creating that, and there's no way. This is the yin and the yang. This is the balance. That's what men and women are to one another.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. That's all about it. That's all about it. That's our collective opinion, and that's pretty same, right? So I have another question for you. Who are the white hats and who are the black hats?
White hats and black hats. So, I mean, pretty simple. Black hats are just...
Is it another racism statement or something?
The idea is that there's a secret war going on, a silent war going on, and that there's operatives on both sides. You've got good guys and you've got bad guys. Black hats are bad operatives. White hats are good operatives. So when you hear somebody say, oh, is he a white hat? It's just that they might be involved in the silent war to some extent and fighting that without you even notice. The truth of the matter is that we can be white hats. If you're somebody who can, if you're somebody who has to limit your speech because of work or whatnot, and then one day you come out and you're actively speaking out in front of, then you got to wonder, it's like, is that person a white hat? They're fighting the silent war. So that's my definition of white hat, right?
So do you think like white hats are controlling and fighting they are fighting against the cabal, they are fighting against the global elites and everyone, and do you think like white hats are in control now?
Yeah, I do think white hats are in control. And I know that a lot of people are watching the world as it is right now turned on its head. And you're like, there's no way that the good guys are in control because there's so much chaos. You got to understand that chaos has been a part of our regular day-to-day lives. For all of us have been born into this chaos, right? For the most part. Yeah. So we've only known chaos. So as you're destroying this, it's going to look messy and it's going to be ugly. I absolutely do believe that white hats are in control right now for several reasons. Number one for me is that I was black-pilled for a very long time. And I had talked to you about this. Yeah. I told you, all of the doomers that are like, oh, nothing is happening. Exactly. I can't believe you guys believe in the plan. All of those people have never been black-pilled before in their entire life.
Well, I asked them only one thing. What's the plan? Tell me the plan.
What's your plan? What's your plan? Dude, tell me. If that's not it, then just tell me what we're going to do. If what I'm doing isn't working, tell me what we're going to do. Yeah. They never have a plan. I had one guy tell me the best answer I ever got to that question was a guy who told me we should move to Tahiti and become mango farmers.
Oh,
like,
I would love to.
Like, all of us? Like, is that your plan? Like, all of us should go move to Tahiti to become mango farmers? Because that might become a problem. Right? So, the point that I was making with that is just that if you've never been black-pilled before, it's so difficult to look at what's happening right now and consider it a good thing. Yeah. But people who have been black-pilled that have been praying for years Let the
Yes.
cabal be taken care of. Bring these people down. Understand that destruction is destructive. And therefore, it's going to look messy and it's going to look ugly and it's going to look like war
Yeah,
because we are
when, like,
fighting an active war.
exactly. Like when Q talked about dark to light,
Mhm.
every time people thought it's just a phase for like month or two, like couple of months. That's it. No, it's a
This cabal has been in
long
place for
way.
over 1,000 years.
Exactly. You
It's
are
older than
undoing.
that.
Exactly. Yeah,
It's
you
it's
are.
older than that, but we're talking about 1,000 year plan to
Exactly.
enslave us, to take over the
Exactly.
world as they're doing right
Yeah,
now. So
and
this
if you want
idea,
to undo everything from past 1000 or 1500 years, what they have done to us,
yeah,
you have to give some time to the people who are trying to do it. You have to,
and it's
right?
got to be all right. It's not going to happen in a year. I feel like people are like, okay, get it over with. I want to get back to normal. I want to get back to normal, and that's the problem.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
want to get back to the matrix. You want to get back
Exactly.
into that. You want the lie. What you want is for this to be done so that you can go back to living the lie. You're never going back to that. When Neo wakes up in the matrix, the real
Hmm.
world sucks.
Yeah.
It's ugly and it's gross and it's
Myself.
like,
I can
whoa.
tell you how much I hate to dumb myself down every day at my office
I
and talk to the people. Oh my God.
The interactions, the day-to-day interactions. I mean, I'm luckily I work from
Especially
home
the
and I don't have
political, it's a political, as a, whatever the assumptions and everything,
just a
like
conversation and where people
conversations. Yeah.
go and the points. Yeah, it's insanity right now, and it's like you guys gotta give it a minute. It's going to happen. That's why I told you the other day, let them be black pilled. I don't care right now. I
Exactly.
want them to be
Exactly.
black pilled because it's only when they're black pilled that it's like, okay, are you hopeless now? Okay, now that you're completely hopeless, what are you gonna do?
Come to me.
What are you
I'm
gonna
gonna
do?
shelter you.
Because if not, you just keep hoping and praying that somebody's gonna come save you, and you're
Yeah.
not doing anything to save yourself. Like, here's the thing: this war isn't being fought by Donald Trump. It's not being fought by the military. It's not being fought by white hats. It's being fought by all of us as a collective. When I wake up
Exactly.
every single day, and before I brush my teeth, I'm posting memes. That's me fighting in the war.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
me. When I go to the grocery store and I refuse to put on a mask and they tell me you got to get out, or I have to tell 8 people like, hey, I got a condition, I can't wear it, whatever it is, that action is me fighting the active war. So, we got to
Exactly.
start taking accountability over our own involvement and how involved we are in wanting to create the new world, because there's
Exactly.
no old world to go back to. I'm not going back to a world
No.
that was created by the cabal to enslave me. I'm
Yeah.
okay starting from scratch. And I
Yeah.
think that that's the disconnect, that too many people want things to go back to normal. Normal was created by the cabal to keep you enslaved. The idea is we're going to create the new world. Are you in?
Exactly. And I know the cabal and the people are listening to our laptop, what we are having,
My
what the
FBI
conversation we are
agent.
having. Hey, you there, if you are watching me, I'm not going to go back. I'm going to fight until my death, my last
Yeah,
breath.
I talk to my FBI agent all the time. Like, are you listening to me? Yeah, no, we're not going back. We're not going back. Like, this is it. I'm going to remain loud. This is my life, and I'm here to create the new world. I'm here to raise the collective vibration of the world. I'm here to do so with love. I'm here to share truth. Truth is love, and accomplish my mission on this world that I came to, which is to share that with people, but definitely not to get things back to normal. I'm here to destroy normal. I'm here to
Yeah,
destroy the paradigm. I'm here to make you question that reality, because it's not real. It's not real. It was created for you to keep you enslaved in a hamster wheel so that you would never question the things that
exactly.
are true.
Exactly. Like they are intentionally making us dumb through the fluoride, the chemtrails and everything, like physically
It's an
too,
attack.
yeah, consciously too, and unconsciously too, through the Mockingbird media, through the
Correct.
Hollywood, right? That's what
Yeah,
it
it's a
is.
constant attack on us all the time. It doesn't
From
stop.
everywhere. Yeah, right. So let me
Absolutely.
ask you, do you carry a mask? That filthy
I
little thing?
So here's the thing. I do. I carry a mask because,
Yeah, yeah.
there's one place that I go to. Listen, I don't wear my mask anywhere,
No,
but
I
I
don't.
get I get my nails done. I get my nails done, and that's the
Okay.
only place where I'm like, okay, I'll put my mask on. But look, I carry it with me. I do, because
Okay, I understand. Yeah.
but for the most part, no. For the most part, I go out there and I consciously make the decision to be a pain in the butt of everyone who's going to ask me.
Well,
And
for my
you know,
Indian audiences, like I have a few Indian audiences, right, who regularly listens to me, and why masks are not a good sign, not a good thing for, like, they cannot stop corona. I know
they can't stop
what's
corona. They do nothing to help you. In fact, quite the contrary. Mask wearing can actually spread disease more, because the biggest way of spreading any kind of virus, not just corona, is by bringing your hands to your face. When you've got a mask on and you're constantly touching your face to adjust it, you're actually raising the probability that if you've come in contact with the virus, now you're putting it in the space where you're most likely to catch it. So masks don't work. And you don't need to take my word for that. You can check with the CDC. You can check with the WHO. They'll tell you that they don't work. But then, you know, at the same breath, tell you they're symbolic, put them on, just, you know, care.
Just wait for the hot summer when you're going to realize this filthy thing on your mouth.
It's gross. It's just, you know, it's even gross. The mask. You just have to, do you carry a mask in your purse? Yeah, it's at the bottom of my purse. It's gross. Gross. The same thing. It's gross. It's gross.
I don't wear it. Yeah.
Masks don't work. But, you know, to go back a second, because you asked me about white hats and whether or not I think white hats are in control. And, you know, I've got a theory. And I think that the biggest proof that we have that white hats are in control is the virus. You know, if the cabal does not care about you or me or anybody else other than themselves.
Yeah.
And if the cabal wanted to create a virus that would scare us and would keep us home and would force us to wear a mask and would allow us, would turn us into complete slaves to the government, the CDC and the WHO, I feel like they would have released a virus that made us, you know, drop dead in the middle of the street, spit blood projectilely. They didn't do that. And I don't think it was by design. I don't think they care about you or me. What I believe happened is that we have white hats in China just the same. China was a country that got taken over by a communist regime.
Yeah, and, you know, like earlier, like 5 years back, we haven't heard anything from China. No news, nothing, nothing, right? But now we can understand and know what's happening there. You know, like this picture was leaked that they are partying in swimming pools, you know, like, and
they're
lockdown,
raving.
Right?
They have full raves going on. They're having a great old wild time.
Those are Chinese white hats who leaked the photos.
It's very clear to me that we've got white hats to some extent out there, because if these people wanted to take over, if they could take over, if they could take over the world right now, they would. Don't think that they haven't done that because they're nice or because they're waiting. If they could take over the world right now, they would.
Yeah.
They can't do that because we're fighting the narrative every single day. So to me, it's like, yeah, get black-pilled, because once you're black-pilled, then you'll understand that people are waking up. When you've got protests popping up all over the world, in every country, in the UK, in France, in Australia, in New Zealand, in India, it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. So make no mistake, the world is waking up.
Exactly.
And you know, the plan's not real. Listen, I don't know what the plan is. You don't know what the plan is. Joe M doesn't know what the plan is. I don't care how big you are into the 17 movement. You don't know what the plan is.
Exactly.
Just know that it clearly some kind of opposition to the bad guys exists because of where we're at. Yeah. If the system, I tell people here all the time, specifically, you know, with United States politics, we just had our election stolen from us.
Yeah.
Our entire election stolen from us. We got a fake president that was placed in the White House.
Yeah.
If our system didn't work, they wouldn't have to cheat. They cheat because the system works.
Yeah.
So it's about gaining control of those systems again. So I believe without a fact that there are white hats in every country, and that white hats are very much in control right now. Because if they wouldn't be, then I believe that the COVID-19 virus would have been an extremely deadly virus that would not have required them to, you know, fake numbers, use the mainstream media to lie.
Okay, so I know the answers and everything, but I'm gonna play a devil's advocate, for a few people, right?
Yes.
Who are new. So why the people are dying? Why?
So
You don't know.
the
My
truth of the matter
grandfather
is,
died.
yes. So they released a virus, and it is a virus that absolutely they were going to release a virus either way. Um, Senior citizens are normally more susceptible to these viruses when they're created. So just like people die from the flu each year, they're going to die from another flu, which is what COVID is.
Yeah.
Now, in early 2020, there was a study that came out of Australia that, of course, was banned everywhere. That proved that the coronavirus, what had been mutated, and that had been a man-made mutation that didn't allow the virus to attack children. Because by definition, a virus that would attack a senior citizen should also attack children and infants. And this virus didn't do that. And the scientists discovered that it's because there was a mutation in the virus that doesn't occur naturally that stopped it from attacking children. So number one, your grandparents died because the deep state released a virus to specifically kill off senior citizens. That's number one.
Exactly.
Number two, your grandfather could have also died from heart disease, obesity, asthma, and you wouldn't know that because they are classifying deaths incorrectly. And it's because you don't even have to think of a big conspiracy. Oh, so everybody's in on the conspiracy? No. Why? Because there's monetary benefits to saying that your patients died from COVID-19 in every hospital.
Exactly.
So of course, every hospital is going to say, we cured heart disease. The number one leading cause of death in the United States of America is heart disease.
Heart disease.
And the CDC told me that in 2020, they cured heart disease.
No one died. No one died out of heart diseases, out of old age, like no one.
No one died of heart disease. The numbers are fake. Is the disease real? Is the flu real? It's real. COVID is real. It's killing senior citizens and it's killing fat people.
That's the meme that COVID and flu are like Clark Kent and Superman. They don't get into the room. Into the room at the same time.
I mean, we see over 1 million deaths from the flu every single year in the US, and we saw zero. The press actually went out there and told us, it's a miracle. We cured the flu. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And people will believe that. So the people that are like, well, it's real. I caught it. Listen, I get it. It is real. Have you ever caught the flu? Because I've caught the flu and I've been in a deathbed for 10 days. Okay. And I'm in my prime. I'm healthy. And I know what it's like to catch the flu. 10 days, deathbed, can't get up. You just want to sleep. You just want to die. Take me out now. So, you're going to catch COVID. Yes, some people are going to catch COVID because it's a flu. And some people are going to die from COVID again because it's a flu. And that's why you still see the numbers. But, they can't even lie very good about it. The WHO and the CDC, if you dig far enough into their websites, have categories for actual COVID deaths.
6% only.
And then COVID deaths that could maybe be something else. Yeah. And the majority of the deaths are in the
nursing
group
homes,
of COVID, maybe something else. Oh yeah, that's another thing. People die in the hospitals. Nobody dies at home. Everybody dies in the hospitals.
And in nursing homes, like the nursing home scam, California, New York, everywhere, right? That's what it is.
Absolutely, because that was all about putting again the more money that at least here in the US, it's set up that way where for every patient that you have with COVID, you're going to get more money for that patient than if they would have had something else. And if you can get that person hooked up to an oxygen machine, you're going to get even more money. And the really sad part is that very early on last year, we found out that the oxygen machines, people were getting hooked onto the oxygen machines prematurely, and it was the oxygen machines killing people.
Exactly. You don't have to put on ventilators, you don't have to put people on ventilators when you see a flu or a COVID thing. My father had COVID, he never had any symptom, of course, he's not awake. So he quarantined himself for 2 weeks or something. And there was this level of percentage or something that if it's above 30, it's negative. And if it's below 30 or something, it's positive. So my father had 17% or something. that's 17, right?
And that number.
Yeah. And he had a fever for an hour or something, and that's it. He felt
My
a little bit
my dad
weakness.
and my mom had COVID too. My dad felt bad for the first couple of days, and then he spent a couple of months where he was still struggling with his breathing or
Yeah.
not. Again,
Mm-hmm.
because my dad's in his 60s and he's
Yeah.
older,
Oh yeah.
so it's normal that things like that would happen. But again, it's about being realistic. It's like if my dad would have gotten the flu, he would have been in the same danger as COVID.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is. Like COVID, people have to research about all these things. And by research, I don't mean go and Google. Don't go on Google and
Yeah,
just
no,
do the
Google. Well,
things.
you need to find alternate news. You need to rely that the people like you and me that are out here sharing news.
Yeah.
I get it. We've been so programmed to think like we need an expert, we need this, we need that. Like I spend enough. I can promise you that I spend enough time researching where I am an expert when it comes to these things. And I don't need you to take my word for anything that I say, but do understand that I don't get paid to do this. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. This isn't my job. I don't get paid
Exactly.
like Tucker Carlson or whoever it is on Fox News to tell you the news. I do this because of a calling where it's like, holy shit, like how do I have all this truth and I need to be able to share that. So what I tell people is go down every rabbit hole, every
Yeah.
single one. Listen to every theory. And with your own discernment, you'll be able to start putting the things together that it's like, wait a minute, this makes a lot of sense together. And you'll
Yeah.
also be able to use your own discernment to be like, all right, maybe the birds aren't real thing is a little crazy. I mean, birds are real. You'll be able to
Yeah.
decide which theories apply to you and which theories are really apply and don't. And you'll see that through, one of the things that I do differently when I'm red pilling that a lot of other people don't
Mm-hmm.
is that I always make pretend that I'm talking to somebody who thinks that I'm an idiot, that thinks that I'm crazy and that what I'm saying is dumb. I don't but sometimes I could get caught up in the echo chamber. I want to talk to the person who thinks like this is crazy. There's no way that's real. So what do? When everything was going on just recently with the evergreen containers,
Yeah.
all the theories were going around. Open up the containers. The kids are in the containers. Open up the entire thing. It's like
Wait for it.
17. Hillary Clinton is trafficking kids through the evergreen containers. Time out, guys. No. 17 never said that Hillary Clinton was transporting kids through evergreen containers. However, 17 did bring attention to the fact that many people, are trafficked through shipping containers. This is a global problem. It's happening all over the world, and most people don't realize it. I worked for an ocean freight, one of the biggest ocean freight shipping companies here in the United States. I worked with them for 2 years, and I got to see a lot of the operations and how it is that it works.
Oh.
Those containers, I want to say that maybe something like 5 to 10% of those containers are checked. All those other
Only
containers,
only 5 to
only
10%. Oh, wow.
5 to 10% of the containers that make their way into one of our US ports are checked.
Why I'm
That
wasting so
leaves
many money to come to US?
that leaves, maybe you just need to get into a shipping container. Maybe you just need to find one of those shipping containers. No, so you need to understand at least 90 to 95% of these shipping
Damn.
containers completely unchecked. So let's talk about the inarguable facts. Hillary Clinton's code name while she was in politics was Evergreen. Check. Awesome. That's a true story. You can verify that.
Yeah.
People are smuggled daily through shipping containers. It
That's a
is
fact.
a pandemic. It is a problem of
The
how
real
often
problem.
it happens. It's a real pandemic. That also can be verified through whatever news source it is that you want to go and that you want to check out. Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation has in fact been linked to child trafficking.
Yes.
Laura Silsby, which was a spokesperson or a representative for the Clinton Foundation, was caught trying to smuggle children out of Haiti for trafficking reasons. The Clintons made sure to pull whatever strings it was that they could for Silsby, not because they cared about Silsby, but because Silsby was attached to the Clinton Foundation.
Yes.
We know that Bill and Hillary Clinton were best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, who we already know is a prolific pedophile and a trafficker of children.
Yeah.
So when you present facts like that, I'm not telling you to believe that, frazzle dip, that Hillary Clinton is cutting off kids' faces and drinking blood. Okay, don't believe that if you don't want to. That's cool. But you don't think it's weird that she's defending child traffickers? You don't think it's weird? We don't think it's weird that shipping containers are being used to traffic people and that there's really not a lot of attention that's brought to it. Those are real facts. They can't argue that. There's if you remember last year, all the talks about the tunnel started. And everyone's like, oh, a tunnel system. You guys are you morons. There's no tunnel system.
You are dumb. No, it's dump.
No, listen, there is a tunnel system around their entire country.
Yeah.
It's such an intense. I live in Florida, which is below sea level, and we've got tunnels.
Yeah.
That have been around since Prohibition. So no, believe it. There is a tunnel system. But why do I bring that up? Because you tell people, oh, that's not true. There's a tunnel system. And they're like, no, you moron. You think that they're trafficking kids through a tunnel system? That's so stupid. All right, time out. Let's go back to history. In 2019, the FBI released because you know that they have to make, here in the States, after a certain amount of time, the Freedom of Information Act requires that certain, cases that would have otherwise been, secret or, whatever, the information has to be released after a certain time, as long as it's not a threat to national security. And in 2019, the FBI released information on a case called the Finders case. Now, the Finders case was a story in the early 80s. A local police department in Central Florida found a group of kids walking around, dirty, no adults, weird. So who are these kids? Who are these runaways? Where are you from? What's up? Point of the matter is that when the kids are like, oh, this is where we live, they find proof of satanic worship, of clear sacrificial things that were going on. Right around this time was when the satanic panic thing, which again, I think that they called it satanic panic as a way of deflecting from the fact that we really did have a Satanist issue.
Yeah.
I'll go back to that now. We've had generals in the military that have been open Satanists. So for people to be like, oh, there's not true, there's no Satanists in the military, there's no Satanists in government, is bullshit, because we've had generals that have openly advocated for Satanists.
Yeah.
So in the early 80s, these kids are found, they start the investigation, all right? And what they find is that there is a group of traffickers that's getting kids back to DC.
Whoa.
Amongst those stories, there is a famous story that's called the McCarran Preschool. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The McCarran Preschool. And in the McCarran Preschool, it was a school, I believe, in Connecticut, it was Northeast United States, where the preschool had a tunnel system under the school in order to be able to smuggle kids.
Wow.
Since the 80s, they told people that was a conspiracy theories, that the tunnels were a lie, that there was no tunnels under the McCarran Preschool. That was just something the conspiracy theories made up. Yeah, there was a trick law, there were trafficking kids, but there was no tunnel system. Well, when the FBI makes these documents, makes this case file public in 2019, guess what? There was tunnels under the McCarran Preschool.
Of course.
And they very much did lead into DC. And this investigation was deaded by the Miami FBI, which is the same South Florida FBI that let Epstein get away with what it was that he got away with. The Miami FBI shut the case down, and they didn't let them continue. Now, let's go back again when people are like, oh my God, pedophiles in government. The Georgetown Boys Club is a true story about an organization similar to the Big Brothers of America, where it was a foundation for young boys, to turn young boys into men, right, and teach them how to shake hands the right way and how to present themselves in meetings, and to turn kids that would have otherwise been troubled youth into provide a positive male influence with them. What happened was that the organizer of this Georgetown Boys, the Boys Club, was a pedophile, and he was selling these kids to politicians. This is a true story. You can look it up. People went to jail. People were held accountable. Now, granted, You know how it goes. It's a pyramid. They're going to stop it somewhere down here so that it never gets up to the top. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of these things that people are like, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. It's so, it's that you guys are crazy. The government would never do that. Are things that if you go back and look at history, history proves they've already done this and they've already gotten away with it. You know, a big eye opener right now in America is the Tuskegee experiment, which is when they started experimenting with vaccines and they targeted African Americans and compromised them by, in fact, I believe it was, I want to say that it was smallpox, the vaccine, where they went in with this original vaccine and made a lot of African Americans sick and used them as test dummies. So now at least we're watching American politics here, right? Which they love to make everything about race. And they're telling African Americans and people of color and Hispanic communities, we need to protect you guys first. We need to get you guys access to this first because, we can't be racist and not do that. And it's like, hold up, guys. Do you remember Tuskegee where they specifically targeted people of color? Because that's what they're doing. I think that a lot of the times, if you don't want to believe conspiracy theories, just go out there and do a little bit of history. And you'll find that a lot of these things that sound outlandish are really not.
And the global connection, like that's what they did. That's what Bill Gates did with the polio vaccines in India. Like so many people died.
And he made a lot of people sick because guess what? There's a lot less liability for him, or so he thought, because it's my understanding that he was held accountable. Well, as accountable as you can hold him from, without extraditing him. But they specifically go out. He went to India, crippled a bunch of kids with the polio vaccine. And now that he's blocked from India, now he's doing it in Africa.
Exactly. The Indian government kicked him out in like 2016 or something, 2016, 17. They kicked them out. They said, we don't want you. We don't want any of your vaccines and any of your medicines. So what they are doing now, they are the Melinda and Gates Foundation funding almost every agricultural startup.
Well, that's what they're doing here too.
That's what they do.
So what they're doing here is that they're buying all the farmland.
Exactly.
Like Bill Gates is buying a lot of farmland here. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing because that's, for those of you who can't see the writing on the walls, is they want to be in control of our food resources. So that they can limit it. I mean, this is the same guy that's pushing that we should,
because people are not trusting him for medicines and everything. So now he's going to the food department. That's what. And make no mistake, the more exposed
he gets, he's going to switch it's going to be somebody else speaking for him. But these people are, they're definitely on a globalist plan to take over. They want to enslave you. This isn't a lie. I don't know why people think that this is so outlandish. Like, people want power. People are power hungry. So this idea that it's like, why would anybody want to do that? Well, because people are power hungry.
Exactly. Like we, the normal people, are more educated than him. That tech guy, I'm sure that he don't know how to even repair a computer, like repair
how
a PC.
Have they convinced people that Bill Gates is the smartest person alive when he doesn't have a doctor's degree, he doesn't have a PhD, he has none of that. He's a regular person like you and me coming up with their own thoughts. So it's which goes back to the idea that I do believe white hats are in control. Because if you would have told people that Bill Gates was an enemy of the people 6 years ago, they would have told you that you were crazy and nobody would have listened to you. But now he has to turn off his comments on YouTube.
Yes, he does. And even on Instagram.
Correct.
Like earlier when it started, I think it was around March. So it was around March 2020 or something, March 2020 or something. He had his first post where he switched off the comments, turned off the comments.
That happened when he posted the video about the mosquitoes that he was releasing into Florida.
And everyone is commenting,
which he
you
did.
Are a satanic, you are a pedo, you are a killer, and everything. And he had to turn off his comments.
And then he went on the news to cry and be like, oh, the conspiracy theorists, they're getting me. People are waking up. Again, it's like common sense. Like, why do we need millions of fake mosquitoes in Florida? I live in Florida. We've got plenty of real ones.
Yeah.
Why do I need why do I need millions of fake mosquitoes here?
Fake
Why do we need to
mosquitoes,
block out
fake
the sun?
clouds, and everything.
Why do we need to block out the sun? What's the science?
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
that sounds a little extreme, blocking out the
Exactly.
sun.
Blocking out the
What's the
sun.
science there? Right. So people are realizing that it's like, all right, this guy's a weirdo. This guy's just not like this isn't normal. These aren't normal aspirations that people have, and you can call it, what is it they call it? Philanthropy, all that you want. He's the guy's actively telling you that he wants to lower the population.
Yeah, he has openly said that.
Several times. I've got at least because there's always like one or two videos where people will be like, oh, that's not what he meant. You're taking him out of context. All right. So here's another 7 videos of him telling you how he wants to lower the population of the world because he believes in eugenics. His parents were eugenic. His mother was in his father was heavily involved with Planned Parenthood. That for those of you who do not know is a form of eugenics. Planned Parenthood was specifically created by Margaret Sanger, which is the creator of the Planned Parenthood, because she hated Black people. Yeah. She wanted to exterminate, her words, we are going to exterminate the Negro population. That was her words. And until this day, I don't know if you guys have Planned Parenthood in India.
No, we don't.
I'm not going to tell you that we have them all over here because we don't. We have them in the poor neighborhoods, in the ghettos.
Yeah.
In the neighborhoods where you don't have them in the rich neighborhoods. Yeah. You don't have them in the nice neighborhoods.
Because you cannot endure rich people from money, that's what they do with the poor people.
Well, because an idea predominantly who lives in the poor neighborhoods, people of color, Latinos, African Americans, immigrants, that's who lives in these predominant poor neighborhoods. So make no mistake, Planned Parenthood is the single most effective tool for racists in killing off the Black race.
Exactly. And if the government can spend millions of dollars on Planned Parenthood, they can use millions of dollars to uplift all these neighborhoods, right?
Why would they do that? And then, you go and you read the stories, it's like, you walk into a Planned Parenthood and Planned Parenthood makes, on top of the fact that they take our government money, which I don't know why they need government money when they're a for-profit business that takes your dead baby, chops it up into pieces, and sells it off for profit. Big profit. A very, very, very big profit. We're talking about $50,000 for a fucking, $50,000 for a baby liver. Like these people are making a lot of money selling off baby parts like it's some kind of chop shop, and they still demanding to take my tax dollars to kill babies. When they walk in, when a scared teenager walks into a Planned Parenthood clinic trying to decide whether she should keep her child or have an abortion, the people who work at the Planned Parenthood, again with the linguistics and confusing you, Planned Parenthood are actually going to help you plan your abortion.
Exactly.
They're not going to tell you all the things that you should do and why you should keep your baby. They're not going to talk to you about that. They're going to talk to you about all the things that you can do to get rid of your child.
Exactly.
Planned Parenthood.
How is it connected to parenthood? If you are not getting,
it's not.
You're not becoming a parent anyway.
They're not. But again, it's the linguistics that they use. You know what's another one that gets me when they talk about sleep paralysis? Have you ever had sleep paralysis before?
No.
It is an actual visit from a demon. It's like a demon visiting you in your sleep. It's demonic possession. And they'll tell you, oh, it's sleep paralysis. That's not what that feels like.
No. Yeah.
Why do you call it that? So to me, it's just like linguistics, right? They're going to use it to like mess us up in whatever capacity it is. So yeah, when it comes to the Planned Parenthood thing, I think that a lot of people don't realize that Bill Gates is he's a generational eugenist. Like he believes in preserving one fraction of the population and getting rid of the other.
Yeah, we are the muggles for them, and they are the pure blood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's like it's over time, it's off time, but I really love the conversation, and I believe people are gonna love it, and I know for the fact that people are gonna love it because so much information's in just one video, and I think we're gonna do it, and I want you to bring in again in future, want to bring
you let me know when. You let me know when, and we're wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Are you gonna ask me what my favorite book is?
Yes. Yes, that's a ritual. That's a ritual I'm making.
So
Any suggestion?
I've got my, I think that my all-time favorite book is Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian L. Weiss.
Okay.
Which basically discusses, so Brian L. Weiss is a therapist. He does hypnotherapy. And
Oh,
basically, what he discovered early on in his career is that when he was doing regression therapy, he can get people to go into past lives and how we carry phobias and traumas and things into this life from actual
yeah.
past lives. So he does past life regression, but it's a really interesting book about, know, not just our past lives, but we select what we're going to come down here to learn, and we come down here with a mission to learn these lessons, in order to be able to become, higher beings in a different realm. And it's a book that I read it for the first time when I was 15 years old, and I've probably read the book about 7 times since then. So my favorite book is definitely Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian L. Weiss. He's got a couple of other books that discuss the theory on like soulmates and like soul family and how we incorporate, and I love it. So that's my favorite book.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't heard about that book. I'll be honest, and I'm gonna like it's on my wish list now. I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna find that book and I'm gonna buy that and I'm gonna read it. That
It's
looks.
a big recommendation to everyone,
Well, thank you so
because
much.
it really, it's changed me, and it's especially on this journey, in the red pill journey. I've come across so many amazing people that share, you can meet friends, but there's something very special about this movement where the connections are very deep because they're soul connections. You agree with things on a very foundational, like on a spiritual level with other people and that kind of connection. And I feel like I've really been brought to like a soul family on earth,
Oh, yeah.
through this movement. And Brian L. Weiss talks a lot about that, how we travel through different lifetimes with, with a tribe of souls that we're trying to figure this life thing out together.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out. He's a good writer, and it's a great book.
Yeah, no, I know for the fact that we are the only creatures in this whole universe who don't know what they are doing here and why they are here and who they are, basically. So
Yeah,
that's what it
and
is. That's
it's a sympathy and reasoning, and there's a lot of human traits that maybe people would consider weaknesses that make us very special
yeah.
beings, and there's a reason for that. So yeah, check out the book. I promise you, and then let me know
Sure.
what you think.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so it's the end. I'm a little bit sad that it's an end. I was loving that conversation, like I love the conversation and I hope people are gonna love it. Yeah, guys. So this is Conscious Mantra with Redpill Babe 1776. You can find her on Instagram. It's Redpill Babe 1776. She got nuked like for around 6 times and she have lost around 300,000 followers or more than that, right? And she's still fighting and she's
Still fighting,
still
still pushing.
fighting.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, anyways, yeah, any of the patriots who are watching this video, if you want, if you are logged out of your phone wi-fi's IP addresses and everything, come to me, DM me. I'm gonna give you new Instagram ID for free. I have a person who makes like n number of Instagram IDs and passwords and everything for me, and I use that, and that's how I
I
make
love
my.
that you're helping everybody get through.
Yeah,
You're helping
like,
everybody get through the
yeah, the pain. I'm gonna take the
Yeah, no,
pain. Don't worry.
keep fighting, guys. The fight doesn't stop. I don't care how ugly it looks on the outside. Like there's no other alternative. We either keep fighting or we give in to the cabal, and we're not going to do that. So keep the fight going.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for
Conscious
having me.
Mantra signing off.